So my name is Calder and I'm going to talk to you guys about Italian cheeses today, because Italian cheeses are delicious and good to talk about. I work as a cheesemonger at Sordic's cheese shop in the Northeast. I've been there for about 2.5 years at this point, so I spent a lot of time working with cheese, talking about cheese, learning things about cheese. It's a really fun place to be. There's lots of cool things in there. Anytime we have a few hundred different types of cheese we look at, or that we have in stock, and it's really fun to kind of see all these different things coming in and coming out. We usually like to keep a good rotation going in to keep us as cheesemongers interested in things, and also to keep our customers interested in things. It's a really important kind of dynamic to have new things moving in and out of the store, and that's something we are usually pretty good at. But unfortunately, as recently, we have been kind of lacking in the Italian cheese department. Not very many new things coming in there. Unfortunately, because I'm a big fan of Italian cheese. I'm a good Italian myself, and I actually spent a good amount of last summer over in Italy studying Italian cuisine and things like that, learning a lot about different cheeses. So that was a big bummer that we're not really getting too many new Italian cheeses around. So I decided to take it upon myself to do a little research into finding new Italian cheeses that we could bring in. So my goal for this report was to look through our distributors, look through our available cheeses, and find something that we could possibly bring in as a new cheese, and recommend this new cheese to our cheese buyer, Christian Petty, to order and trial in the store and see what we can find out. So to do this research, I first went through our distributor's catalog. Zertro & Company is the name of our cheese distributor. Lots of different cheeses that they bring in. So I went and looked through their catalogs, found all the different Italian cheeses in there, and compiled a list, as you can kind of see up here, pretty long list of different Italian cheeses that they have available. That obviously I left out the ones we already carry. But so I started off with just this big list of things, a few little just basic facts about the cheeses, just the milk type, the pasteurization, region, the texture, just kind of things to keep you guided through the kind of beginning parts of the research. And from there, I kind of use this basic knowledge or this basic facts along with my own kind of personal experience to narrow it down to 5 choices, because I thought it'd be a lot easier to look at 5 different types of cheeses in depth rather than trying to go through every single one of those in depth. So what I came up with was these 5 cheeses here, and I'll go through them really quick. The first one I came up with was this Ragusano. It's a Sicilian raw cow's milk cheese. And I have a personal connection to this one because I actually got to go see a production of this in Sicily last year when I was in Italy. So I threw that one into the mix because I really like that cheese. I had the chance to taste it myself, and it fits kind of a niche in the shop that we don't have filled right now. Just in the way that it's produced and kind of the flavor range that it has. So I threw that one in there. Next up, there's the Tastone di Capra, which is a raw goat's milk cheese, a firm raw goat's milk cheese, which I decided to include because first off, raw goat's milk cheeses are hard to come by, and firm goat's milk cheeses are hard to come by. So this one was kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So I decided to look into this one a little bit more, try to figure out what I could do with that one. Then the third choice was the Blue di Bufala, which is a water buffalo's milk cheese with blue veining, as you can kind of see up there from northern Italy in Lombardia. This one I chose because water buffalo's milk is something that people don't really have a lot of experience with. It's something very rare. You don't really find too many water buffalo milk cheeses. We currently only have 2 in stock, so just adding another one would definitely be kind of a fun thing to add in there. Would definitely kind of draw attention, and especially the fact that it's blue makes it very unique in that regards. Next up is the Pecorino dei Templari, which is pecorino is basically just the Italian word for a sheep's milk cheese. And this one in particular is from Emilia-Romagna, so kind of north-central Italy. And this one I chose because it had a very, very distinct aging process where they age it covered in a number of different things. They wash it with whey from the cheese, they wash it with olive oil, balsamic vinegar, seabed oil, and they age it layered in on juniper berries. So it has this very intricate aging process, which I thought would be really interesting and kind of contribute a lot to the collection if the cheese worked out within the other aspects that I'm looking at. And lastly, my 5th choice was the Salva Primasco, which is a soft cow's milk cheese, which I threw in there because I wanted to look at more soft cheeses. We don't really have too many Italian soft cheeses, and so I was like, I really wanted to include one that we could look at to have a kind of another thing in the mix for the soft cheese area. So once I had these 5 choices, I did a little more research on them, found a little bit more facts about them, and I was looking for these 5 search criteria when I was looking for it. So I had availability, I had shelf life, cost, quality, and variety. Those are my 5 criteria I was looking for. Availability turned out to not be as big of a deal. All of them almost all had the same availability. Shelf life's important because if you buy new cheese and it doesn't sell very well, it could go bad, and you're just kind of out of money, which is not good. Cost also something that, if you're buying a new cheese, it has to be at the right cost point. Otherwise, people won't buy it if it's too expensive or things like that. Quality. Obviously, you have to have a good quality cheese. You don't want to be selling bad cheeses to people. So it's really important to kind of look at the production scale of things, the milk quality behind the different cheeses. Those are all really important for this. And then variety is probably my biggest section there, because when trying to bring in a new cheese, it's important to kind of fit a niche that hasn't been filled yet. I don't want to just bring in a new cheese that's already been covered by something else. I want to find something new that people are going to be like, okay, I'll taste that. That one's different. So I looked through all these criteria, and I researched those for each of those 5 cheeses, and I also talked to a couple of my coworkers and got their opinions on the matter, because, again, going back to what I was saying in the beginning, it's really important that the cheesemongers also have interest in the cheese that they're working with, because we're kind of the gateway for the customers. If we don't like the cheese, we're not going to sell it to people. So it's important to have that feedback from the other cheesemongers there. And upon going through all this research, I decided on the Bleu de Buffalo. It was my kind of final decision after all the research. As I was saying before, water buffalo's milk is a very rare find. It's kind of an exotic name when you tell people it in the store. People don't really have very much experience with water buffalo milk in general. So it's definitely something that's easy to sell to people if they're looking for something new. Especially again with the blue veining, would make it one of the most unique cheeses we'd have in the case. Going through the other points, the shelf life was fine. The cost was right in that area where I could sell it for the cost I came in at. And yeah, it just was a really interesting cheese, and most importantly, my other 2 coworkers I interviewed about these things and asked them about. They both were the most excited about this cheese, so I kind of threw that bone in there as well, because again, we have to keep everybody happy in there. So that was my final recommendation, is to get this Bleu de Buffalo, bring it in, try it out in the store, and after going through all this research, I then obviously wrote my report and finished it all up. And that's what I have to say on my Italian cheese report. Does anyone have any questions?
Sorry, you go first. This is Rachel. I have 3 questions. When you were researching your cheese, did you have the ability to actually order in a small amount of them and taste them? 2, where does the blue veining come from? And 3, are you actually recommending this to your boss, and do you think that your boss will order it in?
So the first question, unfortunately, no, I did not get a chance to order it in. Unfortunately, but things like this say they go through a special pre-order process where they only really have it in stock if we specifically ask for it, and it only comes in a package of 2 big blocks like that. So it's not really an opportunity to order in small amounts, unfortunately. So I did not get to taste it. And second off, the blue veining in pretty much any blue cheese, the blue veining in there is from there's a couple different varieties of penicillium molds, just a fungal strain. They find a lot in caves and things like that, and they'll culture it, and they will usually pierce the cheese with needles and then inoculate it with that blue mold, and then the mold just kind of takes up and sets up a culture in there. And that's pretty much true of any blue cheese that you see out there. And thirdly, about actually requesting the cheese, I might. I'll see what he thinks about it. It's definitely a possibility, and I actually, in through researching this, I found out that a number of years ago we actually did used to carry this cheese, so our cheese buyer does have some experience with this one. And yeah, I'll have to ask him if he actually will consider getting it back in.
The pecorino that you showed, so you didn't get to taste that?
No, unfortunately.
Is that carried anywhere in the cities?
Not that I know of, but Yeah, things like that. It was a fairly expensive cheese when I went through the cost analysis there of that one. And so I doubt very many people will be bringing that one in. A lot of these like higher quality Italian cheeses tend to be on the higher end of the price. Italy doesn't really export a lot of cheese. They either export like just factory made stuff or the really high end stuff at a really high price. So I doubt many other people would be carrying that one. It's possible, but I'd say if there was a place that would carry it, it would be us.
And it's Surtees is your place.
Surtees, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I love pepperoni.
Unfortunately, yeah. Any other questions? Yep.
This is Kim. What's the purpose of introducing the mold into the cheese?
It creates flavor. When a lot of cheese production in general is the flavor is driven by different types of microbes. So any other cheese, even if it doesn't have like visible mold in it, it'll have a lot of different bacteria like lactobacilli in it that throughout the aging process actually digests the nutrients in the cheese and break down sugars and things like that and basically spit out all these other different compounds. And those are what you get for flavor for a lot of cheeses, and that's kind of where most of the flavor is coming from in pretty much any cheese you eat.
This is Lauren. How much, like per pound, do you think that cheese would run if you were to sell it?
So this cheese would run about $26 per pound if we were to sell it after markup and everything. So it's a pretty expensive, expensive cheese, but within the context of it, that's right around where I would expect it to be, and I think it would be possible to sell it at that price, around $26 a pound. Just comparing it to other cheeses like certain Roqueforts, which is a kind of famous French variety of blue, those usually go on $25, $26 a pound. So comparatively to other things in that range, the price makes sense.
And second question, what would you use this cheese for?
Mostly eating. It's a lot of these cheeses will just be eaten on their own, like or maybe with bread, things like that. This one I believe you could also melt into sauces. Water buffalo's milk has a really high fat content, so you get this really nice, really creamy, rich texture. It'll melt really well. So yeah, you can definitely use it in sauces and things like that. Any questions?
No samples? Now I'm hungry.
Alright, I should have brought some cheese in. Any other questions?